My former best friend made me her ugly sidekick for years, so when I showed up to our high school reunion looking gorgeous, she lost her mind and threw a punch bowl at me. Lena peaked in high school as the untouchable queen bee, while I served as what she called her funny friend, which everyone knew meant the fat girl who made her look better. She would introduce me saying, "This is my hilarious friend," then literally push me behind her shoulder for photos like some embarrassing relative she had to tolerate. She dated Chris, who was created in a lab to be the perfect golden boy with his varsity jacket and that smile that made teachers forget he never did homework, but they broke up senior year under circumstances Lena refused to discuss. 10 years later, I had transformed after losing 70 pounds and building a career that let me afford clothes. Lena used to say I could never pull off. Walking into that reunion felt like stepping back into a nightmare, but I smoothed my red designer dress and pushed through those ballroom doors. Lena spotted me in 30 seconds and came charging over in her too tight silver dress, saying, "Oh my god, is that really you? You look so different. It's just so brave that you decided to come." She gave me a pitying smile and grabbed my wrist hard enough to leave marks, dragging me to former classmates and announcing, "Look who I found, my funny friend," while completely ignoring that I looked better than her now. I yanked free and escaped to the bar where Chris was ordering whiskey, looking unfairly good with gray hairs that somehow made him more attractive. We started talking and he seemed genuinely interested, but I noticed Lena watching us from across the room with her smile cracking like cheap foundation. Chris touched my arm saying, "You were always kind to everyone even when Lena's friends were being vicious." I should have paid attention to that instead of following the crowd. The compliment felt good, but I caught Lena whispering furiously to a girl while pointing at us, and the girl's eyes went wide like she was watching disaster approaching. Chris mentioned how he'd realized pretty isn't the same as good, while Lena started toward us before stopping to check on her fiancé Mark, who was showing someone fantasy football stats. I laughed at Chris's story about our principal and the water fountain that had a mind of its own. When I noticed Lena downing her third wine and her face going from pink to deep red, Chris leaned close, saying, "I'm really glad you came tonight. I always wondered about you," when suddenly the room felt cold. I looked up and Lena was at the refreshment table gripping the crystal punch bowl full of red liquid with absolutely unhinged eyes. "Isn't this just so precious?" Lena's voice sliced through the air, making everyone within 20 feet turn to stare. Chris and I stepped apart, but Lena was already moving toward us, gripping the punch bowl while her face twisted into something terrifying. "We're just catching up, Lena," I said, but my voice shook because I recognized that look from when she destroyed her friend Rachel's reputation junior year. Chris tried reasoning with her. "Lena, you're engaged and we broke up a decade ago." Put the bowl down, but that made her face contort more. "You pathetic wannabe. You were supposed to stay fat and ugly because that's what you were. And you think you can steal him when you're nothing but the loser who ate lunch alone before I took pity on you?" She shrieked. She lifted the massive bowl overhead and hurled it with a primal scream that belonged in a horror movie. The bowl exploded against the floor, sending a tidal wave of red punch and shattered crystal everywhere, while people screamed and jumped back as sticky liquid and shards destroyed dresses and suits in a 10-foot radius. The ballroom went silent except for punch dripping, and Lena's ragged breathing as she stood in the carnage. "He was mine, and he was always supposed to come back, but you ruined it like the jealous nobody you've always been," she screamed while mascara streaked down her cheeks, and Mark finally looked up from his phone with his mouth hanging open. I looked at my destroyed $1,000 dress, then back at Lena, saying, "We were literally just talking, but apparently you need therapy for these issues." Chris wiped the punch from his face and turned to Lena with exhaustion, saying, "I've told you for 6 months to stop calling me at 2 in the morning crying about us when you're engaged to someone else." The crowd gasped, and Mark's face went white. Chris continued, "We broke up because I caught you in David Rose's car with your dress off at graduation, which you denied even though half our class saw it, including your sister. You're the one who wasted your chance with me." The room erupted in whispers while Mark stared at Lena like he'd never seen her before, and she opened her mouth but no sound came out. Chris looked at me smiling. "Want to get out of here and find somewhere without punch on the floor? I know a diner with incredible pie." I stepped over Crystal and took his hand while Lena stood frozen in the wreckage.